DIY.
All right, so I posted this meme a few weeks ago. I found this on a creator's account. I cannot remember the name. Artists are not like athletes. We cannot win gold. We cannot beat other creatives. We cannot come first. Sport is objective. Our craft is subjective. Creating to be the best is a waste of energy. Instead, create to connect to the people who need you because they're out there. Create in your own way because there is no right way. Take the pressure off and focus on your unique brand of magic. When I posted this, most people resonated with it. Some people felt like, I don't know if I agree with that because the culture of hip hop has a tradition of being competitive. When we talk about how the Dozens was at the foundation of hip hop. Then when you fast forward to more modern times and you think about things like when you had Kanye West versus 50 Cent and they were competing for record sales and they put some kind of wager on. I think 50 Cent said he'd quit music or whatever the case may be. But come to find out, they were in competition, but were both serving the same larger company in Universal Music. I don't know if you knew that. I believe it was part of a marketing plan beforehand. At the time, they were the two hugest names at that point in time. They were on magazine covers, looking at each other almost like they were like getting ready to engage in a Super Bowl. They were on talk shows together, and they represented two different styles of music. And I think that when folks see things like that, when folks see the way that people get clowned for their record sales, they can't help but feel there's a competitive nature to what's going on. Then when you dive into something like battle rap, how could you not feel like there's a competitive nature that exists when that's literally the premise of why people battle rap, is to compete against this other person's pen game. But in that environment, it causes for a different type of performance and a different type of approach. The same way beat battles. These are meant to, you have a battle of skills, a battle of sounds. You bring what you bring, I bring what I bring, and then we have somebody judge them. You know what's so crazy about people comparing music to sports? They pick and choose the things that they want to compare. You know why there cannot be a best rapper alive? For the same reason there can't be a best basketball player alive. Why do I say there can't be one? Even though I'm wearing Michael Jordan here on my t-shirt, someone else from any different era can make an argument for something that this one person did the other person cannot do. Now, you can make strong arguments for guards versus guards, forwards versus forwards, because they play the same position. But you don't ever hear conversations about, man, I wonder who would win in a one-on-one with Shaquille O'Neal versus Steph Curry. Visually, when it comes to your head, doesn't that just sound ridiculous? Because they both play two different positions. Follow me. If we can take all of these sports comparisons and bring them into music and say, no, I don't care. No matter what the circumstances, we're in competition with one another. Then where do those rules apply when it comes to music? Does that mean that if I play the position of being a lyricist and you play the position of being like, I just make vibes, I just rock out, I just like making music that makes people feel good, can you put that person in competition with the lyricist? And if so, what are the metrics that you're going to base who's better off of? Record sales? Record sales are indicative of what the masses are gravitating towards. Are you going to judge the lyricists on their ability to create vibes? Well, no, that's not their position. Would you judge Shaquille O'Neal's ability to make three-pointers versus a Steph Curry? No, because Steph Curry, that's part of his position, is to be a threat from the perimeter. It's two different positions. But yet and still, I feel like we do this all the time. But when we think about our own art, it is such a waste of time looking for somebody to compete with. And even if they can do a lot of the things, they can't do any of them the same way as you. Y'all play two different positions. There are perspectives that are so detailed and so customized to you, it would be ridiculous to even compare your experience of living in Southern California to somebody that's living in North Carolina. Sport is objective, meaning that sports have a score at the end. There is no walking away from there unless you're playing t-ball. There is no walking away from a game and saying, well, everybody's a winner tonight. No, our craft is subjective, though, meaning that I can play you an instrumental and you can say, this is the worst shit I ever heard in my life. I can find somebody in your city that listens to it and says, damn, this reminds me of spending summers in Louisiana. For whatever reason that is, it's subjective. That's what music is. And with there being so many subjective natures, even amongst us as peers, like what you think is a perfect 808, I may think it's too distorted. What I think is too distorted may be somebody's new style, but it's all subjective. Creating to be the best is a waste of energy. I absolutely agree. Instead, create to connect to the people who need you. How many times do we make music trying to outdo somebody that wasn't a factor when we started to do music, and we ignore the very people who spend their 9-to-5 money to huff with us? How many times do we let our mind get wrapped up in that one trash-ass comment from somebody that you never even met, wasn't even a factor, won't even be a factor after this exchange? Why do we give so much time to them and not to the person that consistently shows up whenever you decide to share something? Create your music for the people who need you. It's some people in this world, believe it or not, that don't care whether or not you're the greatest of all time. Matter of fact, there's some people who are so biased to your art, including yourself, that can't nobody tell you no wrong about what you're doing, because there is no right way. How can somebody explain the right way for you? Imagine you have a sound in your head that is so detailed that it is blasting inside of your brain. You can't ignore it. You try to think of something else and you still hear this loop. Can somebody explain outside of you the nuance and detail that you're currently hearing? It sounds crazy, right? Yet and still, there's a lot of people out here, producers, artists alike, who will try to sell you, nah, fam, this is the way that you're supposed to compress. This is the only way. The rest of these folks out here, man, they don't got it right. This is the right way. But in all actuality, they can only give you the right way for them. The right way based upon their experience. But we all know that experience can be biased. We all know that there's domino effects that we cannot predict that lead somebody to ultimately become who they are, sound like who they sound like, create the way that they create. And some of those elements weren't good elements, but they're all influential. Why would somebody who is doing their own art need to hear from you about how to do that the right way? Focus on your unique brand of magic. I don't feel like I am being irresponsible by saying that every one of you do have magic. I may not understand all your magic. It may take me 4 lifetimes before I understand. I may make some music that you're like, I just don't like Curtis's shit. Drums are too loud. It's way over compressed, but it makes me happy, damn it. It makes Curtis happy. And when I'm happy, that energy's infectious. When you're happy, your energy's infectious. And when you're in a good mood, it has a way of seeping into everything that you do. How you write, how you tweet, chop up a video, how you engage with somebody that's a stranger in a supermarket. People can feel that, and they are affected by that. Allow them to have the most authentic experience possible by giving them your magic. You don't got to get my magic. And I'm not saying that my magic is not in need of improvement, but that's my journey. When you really love what you're doing, that's part of the journey. There's no rush. The only people who rush this process are people who don't like this process. And they just want to get to the side effects of what this experience can get them. They don't love the experience. Some people love road trips. Some people can't wait until the road trip is over. Some people pack up books, magazines, music. They got a road trip playlist because they love the road that much. That's me. And that's a lot of us DIYers out here. Probably most of us DIYers. And then some people are the ones in the back seat complaining about the weather, about how the air conditioner doesn't get to the back seat, about the traffic, about everything except for the experience that they are lucky to be on. Continue cooking up your magic and make no excuse for why or how you're doing it. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.